was sitting here thinking, so what am I going to screw up this time? It's that. So just pretend that you got the intro. Okay, anyway. I'm Katie Morton.
And I'm Jenn Palmer.
Together we are Divinely Guided. We're both intuitives, energy healers, spiritual teachers.
And on the first Thursday of every month, we try to get together with you to go live and connect with your spirit guides.
Except this month it's the second Thursday. Hey, Whitney.
Hey, Whitney.
We totally forgot to do the intro, but that's okay. Is it okay?
I don't know. We're really rusty. We've been having a hard time. We're like, how do we introduce ourselves again? I don't know.
Right?
It's just one of those days.
It really is.
I've been a little spacey all day.
Same, girl. Same.
How about you guys? Have you been spacey out there? I don't know if it's the energy or what the heck is happening.
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with the astrology. I've been too busy with my move and work and all the things. So I don't know what is happening.
So you might notice this is not our normal background here. I mean, this is my office at work because we don't have a studio set up right now. So
that's right. I just moved into my new house, and that room just got flooring. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. It still has to get painted. So
here we are.
So maybe next month. We'll see. Sydney Schutzman says, yes, spacey.
Yes, right?
Yeah. So Whitney says Saturn is retrograde. Isn't that interesting? So Saturn is the taskmaster planet who probably helps keep your S together. Everything. I don't know.
That explains it.
Well, the thing is with Saturn is that Saturn delivers the hard lessons, and when Saturn goes retrograde, we often get confronted with perhaps lessons that we should have learned before. We get a review. So we're all getting to retrograde and review. Well, what haven't we gotten yet that we should have gotten maybe the first 20 times around?
Well, I tell you what, Mercury in retrograde kicks my butt most of the time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Well, Mercury just went direct recently, right?
I know, yeah. And if this is the worst that it is, then for me, I'm okay with that. I'm just a little spacey.
Okay.
And we're forgetting our intro.
Yeah, totally. I was just like, Facebook user who I'm going to go out on a limb and say that is Faye Robinson, who says, happy new home. Faye, let us know if that is you who said happy new home. Yeah, this isn't my house. This is Jen's office. We were just saying, yeah, we don't have that set up yet. We'll deal with it.
Yeah, it's like the old days. We used to go live from here, and with a different setup, but we used to go live from here before.
We did. Probably about the first year, I want to say, of doing these videos. Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. That's for sure.
All right, so go ahead and throw in some questions that you want from your guides, but try to make it something that is really interesting for the group, either about the spiritual journey or maybe something more generalized. It can be specific if you'd like, if you think it could apply for a lot of people and what you're going through, but by all means, ask away, and if we don't feel like it'll be appropriate, then we won't answer, but we probably will anyway.
Honestly, you're probably going to get your question answered. Just I'm not gonna be picky about it. Just ask. So, all
right.
What do we say? Sydney, why don't we start with you? Sydney Schutzman says, hello, any messages for me? Okay. So, Sydney, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if this is resonating. But what I was getting is that you feel like right now work is really hard. So let me see what else I can get about that. And if you're like, I don't work or work's not hard, let me know. And I feel like you want to do something else. So let me just see if you say anything about that.
Yeah, I'm actually getting something too around the idea of, I started seeing like a fire, and I was trying to tune into the fire and what did the fire mean? And I keep hearing transmutation. I feel like there's some things that you're meant to transmute and work your way through. when energies come at us or when we're holding on to things, there's different ways we can deal with them. And sometimes it is, it gets stuck, right? And then we hold on, or it gets stuck, or it just doesn't move. Sometimes we can try to reject it, but what you resist persists. So ultimately, what you want to do is either allow it to move through you or somehow transmute it to your benefit. And I think that what they're trying to show you is to transmute things for your benefit. Which transmute just means, I don't know if you're aware of it, but it just means to change the nature of something. So if it has one sort of a property, you change it to have a different property.
Yeah, and the other thing I was getting is the idea of, and wherever you go, there you are, and about changing your perspective. So whether this is about work or anything in your life, when we go through difficulties, and oftentimes the knee-jerk reaction or what we want to do is escape from it, right? And so that might be in a relationship or a job. When things start to go south, often people just say, well, I guess this wasn't for me, it's time to move on. And sometimes we're really supposed to work through something or get something or transmute or change our perspective, or there's a lot of different things we might need to get out of a difficult situation. And often the answer is not necessarily to run from it or shut down against it, but to face it and to work through it. So, because what happens is, if you ever feel like, why does Love Life, for example, keep panning out the same way over and over again? Why do I keep meeting the same people with the same issues? And it's often because whatever that soul lesson is that you're meant to get in relationship with that type of person, you haven't quite gotten it yet. So oftentimes it's not about, well, I'm just going to dump them and move on. It's, or quit the job and move on, or whatever it is. It's often about, well, let me dig in here and look at myself and look for what is the lesson? What is it that I need to learn? And what is it that I need to get?
Yeah, I didn't see anything else from her. So,
all right.
Yeah, if that makes any sense, Cindy, go ahead and reply and let us know. We just said that the exact same way. Let us know.
Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Okay.
So I think next would be
probably Faye, Facebook user. I don't know. We won't assume, but they say, hi, ladies. Any message from guides or my galactic family?
I'm not sure what it means yet, but the first thing I'm seeing, it was like this image of like a grid, but the grid was laying on the ground. A lot of times when I think of like a grid, I think, the cosmic web. I think it's everywhere, but it's not that. It was on the ground. And so I guess that would be ley lines, right? Mm-hmm. But it didn't look like ley lines to me. It looked like something else. But I'm not sure exactly what it was. But the sense that I get with it is definitely connecting more with the earth, and I'm hearing the word symmetry. So I don't know. I'm just hearing lots of different things about this. Let's see what else we can get. But it definitely feels like maybe doing something with crystals and connecting with the earth. And it might even be if there's hiking near you. I'm hearing yes, yes, yes. So someplace where there's hiking near you. Where there are some, I don't know if you have quartz or granite or other things down there that you can connect with. But I think it has something to do with the natural formations and crystals in the earth.
Yeah, and I keep hearing, so I'm going to say it. So, and ground on it, put your body on it. So that might mean sitting your butt down. When we walk around outside and we have on rubber-soled shoes, there's that layer between us and the earth, and it keeps us from being able to really connect our energy to the earth's energy. So wherever you go, find a nice place to sit or to take off your shoes and go barefoot, but make sure that you're making that physical contact with the earth. Clothes are fine. You don't have to be naked to do it, but shoes aren't great. So Either
Oh,
sit down,
Lord.
either sit your butt, with your pantaloons on, please, or take your shoes off and go barefoot if that's safe.
I feel like
Go for
I
it.
feel like it's really important. So what they're saying is this is a great place to set your intentions, and you're really connecting with the earth and the forces of the earth, basically, to bring forth intentions. And I think bringing peace on earth and bringing awakening and helping people to gently see what's going on in the world in a matter of truth, as opposed to I'm going to say illusion. Really helping us to just see more. And I just feel like there's something about connecting with the natural formations, getting in touch with that. I'm hearing the word piezoelectric energy. That's what I'm hearing. So I'm like, I have to go look that up. What does that even mean? But that's what I'm hearing. So yeah, and I think it's really important. And I feel like you can use it personally, but also, more on a global scale. I think we all should be doing that. But this feels very connected to you specifically.
Yeah, and the other thing too, because when you said galactic family, like my mind always just go, oh, well, who's out there? And what I was getting for you to connect with is the idea of two things. One is earth spirits, nature spirits, fairies, spirits of the land, things like that. And the other thing is that there are inner earth beings. And I think there's something there for you to explore. So look up the Anshar. Supposedly they are us in the future, Earth, humans in the future, but they live in inner Earth. So
cool stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the inner Earth beings are kind of fun to work with, as long as they're on the positive path and meaning well, because I think there's definitely both.
There are, yeah. So when you connect, you definitely gotta make sure you're connecting with the right ones.
Yeah. Positive path of ascension
in service to others. Yes.
All right,
you guys. Hang on one sec, because I'm going to turn on the Rumble stream to see if there's comments, and it's going to be loud, and then I got to turn it down, and we're all going to panic. Okay. I don't know if we're streaming there, because that might just be the intro. Go to live chat. Okay.
All right. Lynn Thompson. Oh, yeah. She just says yes. And here it's dark and cloudy, gloomy like. Oh well. It's kind of sunny back here. You can probably see it coming through my window.
Indeed.
Okay.
Hello, Marissa Kucherbeck. All right, Whitney. Anything for my guides, ladies? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking a question, Whitney. Okay. Oh, she has another follow-up. Anything about my career transition, starting my own business? Okay.
Sorry, Whit, you can't leave the cafe. I'm just saying. That's Jenn speaking. Let's see what your guides say. I'm sure it's not that. First thing I'm saying, and I can't tell if it's a loved one or if this is a guide, maybe both. It feels like it's coming from different places. But the first thing they want to say is allow things to unfold the way they need to. Make sure you're not forcing things. Because I know you're so excited about things that it feels like you're just like, I need to be there, I need to be there, I need to be there. Let it roll. Let it flow the way it needs to. It happens in divine right timing, as much as none of us like to hear that. But also, too, they also want to say, you've come so far. And it's almost like I feel like they want you to focus more on, it's funny because normally they don't say focus on the story, but I feel like they're saying with you, focus on your story for a minute. And because it's very inspirational. You've done a lot with your life in a very short period of time that most people would think is inconceivable. And it's not about like, egoically going in and being like, oh yeah, I did all these things, because it was you, but it was also the forces beyond you and the path that you were on. And I feel like what they want you to do is really get a grasp as to what happened these last few years so that you can help others, because there are a lot of other people who have gone through or are going through what you have been through and don't know the way out. They can't see that light. They can't find that path, that way. And I feel like, with you stepping forward in your business and in being of service to others, and in that way, it's really important to have that foundation, not as a description of who you are, because, people say, oh, it's your story. And then we connect too much to the story. They don't want you to be like, this is my story and this is who I am, because you're more than that. But at the same time, because so many people connect to the idea of that story, that's like a launching pad. And I think they just want you to get some clarity around the role that plays and how you can utilize it to be of service, in a way that's for your highest good, that will lead people into the path that they need to get onto. I hope that makes sense. It's funny because so many times, we all have stories. We all have things that we've been through. We all have traumas. And a lot of times when we resonate with the story, it's because we're resonating with the victimhood of the story. Because normally your story is you go through some victimization and then you end up on the other side as the hero of that story, that hero's journey path. But when you become the hero, you often don't really associate too much with the story. You get beyond the story, right? You're not really connected to it as much. But they want you to be able to tell that story, and I think you do, but to tell the story without really getting reconnected and resonating with it, if that makes sense. But being able to tell it in a way where others can resonate and see that there's a path forward. And I think that takes some practice to not be able to, to be able to tell the story to help others resonate with the story and the path forward, but not resonate it in such a way for yourself that it holds you still. So I think that's the work that they want you to get really clear on. And I don't know how else to put that, because it feels like it's
I have some things to add. It's basically being able to tell that story, but from your now higher, more wise perspective and vibration, without getting in the weeds of the story and the vibration of the story. If you ever see somebody tell a story of their past that they haven't quite healed yet, and they get a bit like emotional, or they get choked up at parts, or they get caught in like ways they were in victimhood in the past. And so you want to be able to tell that story to place from a very strong resonance of victory and being victorious and having overcome it. And I think that's good advice for all of us, to be able to tell the story of our past in a way that helps move us beyond the weeds of the past and being stuck in it. So if anybody has like a piece of their past that chokes them up, or they still get caught in that trigger, it's like, well, okay, then you can see that you're probably not seeing something quite accurately yet, or there's a perspective that you need to change up. So Whitney, if you or anyone who try to write out your story, or you try to tell a part of your story, and then you find yourself going, and then I can't believe that they did this, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's where my work is. And so you have to keep like grind, get that work done, and then you might be like, okay, I'm going to start again. And it might be that part that trips you up again, but a different aspect or a different part of the story. So just keep working through and grinding through that story until the whole thing is a story of lessons and wisdom and unconditional love and overcoming and victory and all that good stuff.
I'm laughing because Milli Vanilli is playing in my head.
Girl, it's true. Is that what?
Yes.
Okay, I got to assume, because I sing that line all the time.
I know. So, yeah.
And the other thing, Whitney, just to reiterate something Jenn said at the beginning, she said, like, don't use force and don't push past it. And I think that's the financial piece of it. I think they just want you to make sure that you're secure in that way. And so I think a lot of people do that when they have a dream. it's tempting to leap and to think, well, if you leap, the net shall appear. Sometimes when it comes to money, it doesn't. I hate to say that, and I'm not trying to manifest that for anybody, but we also have to live in the real world and be practical about how we support ourselves. And so sometimes people who are, we're woo-woo, we're out there and we're channeling and we want to manifest and we want to just hope for the best. And sometimes people jump too soon and they don't secure their underpinnings of their financial foundation. And so just exercising that practical reasoning and decision making as well, and just making sure you have that in place, So,
Yeah.
and I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything else.
Okay. Who's next? You can read this one.
Marissa Kucharek. Is there anything from my guides that I need to know for the rest of June on to July?
Okay.
Let's see. The next one is, do you see the gas prices going down? I don't see that happening in June or July. I'll just say that.
Well, we can tune in on it.
Yeah, we will definitely tune in on it.
But first, we'll get to Marissa. I just heard, have heart, dear one. I feel like you've had a difficult, tumultuous journey, like as so many people have. But I feel like this is, you specifically, though, have had maybe a tough road to hoe. I do feel like there's a turnaround coming. But there's some lesson that you're meant to get, or maybe something you've been missing that's been holding you back. I was kind of saying like love, life, career, and they're like nothing that specific. It feels like an overarching, like a perspective or a viewpoint or a concept. Yeah, I just heard unconditional love. And I said about people specifically, and they said yes. I think people have been testing your last nerve, been pushing your buttons. So that, that's not that fun. But so unconditional love, it means loving without conditions and not needing people to be a certain way or to behave a certain way. And this isn't about saying that you're going to put up with BS or have weak boundaries, because sometimes, and I always say this, sometimes we have to love people from afar. Like sometimes we just need to, set up a boundary so that we're not so close to people who are maybe boundary crosses or wronging us. But I'm also hearing there's something about expectations. So sometimes we put expectations on people for how we want them to behave or how we want them to act. And we think, well, they should blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe so. But at the same time, we have to level set our expectations of people with the reality of who they're being or who they're becoming. And so when we find ourselves repeatedly disappointed by someone or a group of people, it's often because our expectations of them are not lining up with the reality of who they've shown themselves to be. And so sometimes we have to, once we dial our expectations into the reality of who they are, and we stop expecting so much of someone who's not capable of delivering that, we can stop being perturbed and we can love them unconditionally just for who they are, who they're being, what they're doing, even if it's really, really wrong. We can just love them anyway. Again, with boundaries and making sure you have those in place and that you're not putting up with abuse or anything like that. But I just heard, again, it's about adjusting your expectations to enable that unconditional love to flourish, to see that these are the conditions. This is who this person is. They're going to keep doing the thing. So don't expect them to act any differently and just love them where they are, because we all have our imperfections and our soul lessons, and we all F up, we do. And so sometimes repeatedly on the same lesson and, sadly. So, if there's someone in your life that's doing that, it's to be able to just be like, all right, so now I know what to expect, so that we can stop being shocked by the same behavior over and over again. But that said, it's like if you get the message across, like that this is not acceptable, and they do it anyway, then sometimes we have to walk. So,
well, I'm getting a similar message around this for life in general. Like, it doesn't even have to necessarily be about people. The first thing I saw was this image of this car like racing by, almost like it was on fire, but it was such a quick image, like I couldn't tell if it was really on fire or not. And the car was speeding past, and I was like, is it that June and July is going to speed past? And it was like, no. And I think what the message is with this is that, so many times we don't like where things are at. And then we just keep thinking, well, hopefully it'll be better like in 6 months, So 6 months down the road, if I can just make it to the 6 months, right? Or another 6 months or a year from now, hopefully things better, that longer term plan, because right now sucks. Mm-hmm. Right. And, I feel like what they're saying is slow down and kind of like embrace the suck, and it's important, and it really does suck. I hate times like this, where it's like things aren't where you want them to be, even if it's just one thing in your life, like this just is not happening and it's not going the way I want it to be. And you're just anxious for it to get out. And so you just kind of ignore it and you try to focus on the positive things, because that's what spiritual people do. They focus on the positive, right? And that's important to do, because you want to keep your vibe high if you can during difficult times, which is not easy to do. But at the same time, when you can be present with the suck and the crudiness of whatever's going on at any given time, and really learn from it, be a part of it, see what it's about, digest it, don't shirk it. What you resist persists, like we've said that already. And, what you're hiding from keeps following you. It's not going to go away. So whatever it is that is going on that is difficult and maybe isn't going as planned, or it's a bit of a struggle, whatever area of life this is, that this is about, or a person, don't hide from it. Really look at it, face it, be direct, and see what comes of that. And use this time, because it is a gift. And in some way or another, everything that we're going through that is a struggle it's forming us. It's forming our character. It's forming a foundation for us. And we always have a choice in how it's going to form us. What are we trying to mold with the experience? And it's not easy. And, Katie and I have been through some rough times. We've been through some really rough times. And I almost want to cry, because it has...
Be victorious, Jenn. Tell the story.
I know.
Have we come out on the other side? I don't know.
I think we're this close. We're this close, guys. And but we're really in a much better place. But it's, we had to really face some things and really look at some things, and what is it that we were meant to learn? And the bottom line of it was learning how to be more loving and even higher vibration than we were. It was an initiation into a different state of being than we had ever even known to be true for us in the past. So I think we're on the other side, and it's been difficult. But man, sometimes these lessons and these things that we're meant to learn, the longer you try to hide from it or be fake spiritual about it and, oh no, everything's fine, where's the good thing to pay attention to, right? When you hide from your own shadow and your own work, it just takes a lot longer. So, and we know not to do that. And it still took a while, but you have to really face these things and look at it and figure out what it's meant to show you. So it feels like something like that for me, Marissa. I feel like that's kind of what's coming. So June and July, it feels like I do feel good things coming. So I'm going to end with that. I do really feel good things coming for you. But I do think, like Katie was saying, that there's an awareness to come to that is really important. I feel like it's affecting multiple areas of your life. And June and July is a perfect time to make that happen.
Totally. Yeah. Remember, I started this with saying there's a turnaround coming. So
yeah. I think it could be really quick. I don't know if you journal. Katie's really big on recommending journaling. Journaling is one of those things that you can just kind of ask questions and write down what's bothering you and ask questions. Well, why this and why this? And one of the things I like to walk people through when they're on my table is, if they say, well, such and such and such and such, I'm like, well, why? Why is that happening? And it takes you a little bit deeper. Well, why is that? It takes you deeper. You just keep asking why until you just really can't go any deeper. And you usually get to some core truths about something. And it's just one good way to really get to it. And I feel like if you just really take the time to focus on whatever this is, you're going to come to the conclusions pretty quickly. Yeah, and it kind of feels like if you really focus, I'm actually hearing 2 weeks. So 2 weeks is not a long time. So I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense.
Right? Well, if the work gets done, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just 2 weeks to slow the spread. 3 years later.
Oh God.
Yeah, right. Anyway, not that. Okay.
Okay, you want to get to the gas prices?
Yeah, let's go to when do we see the gas prices going down? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anytime soon. But I also don't think it's going to be real long term either.
Hearing September, October, which I mean is a very predictable answer if you look at it, because there's often a surge in gas prices in the summer and then they often come down. But I think that what shows though is that things will hopefully start to be normalizing a little bit by then in that realm, because if things really went out of control in like a real bad way, they wouldn't come down in the fall, right? Like if inflation goes that bonkers, that wouldn't. So I think that's a hopeful estimate from one of my guides who's really pretty in touch with world affairs. He just went, thank you. Okay. He said that's it. Were you getting anything?
Well, just that, 2022 is a wild ride still to come, and there's a lot of things happening. And not to sound like a prepper or anything, but be prepared. Okay, I'm going to sound like a prepper.
I was gonna be like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, really get prepared. Make sure your gas tanks are always full. Make sure you have cash on hand. This is what our guides have been telling us
for years, which has been silly, but at the same time, there's been like little blips where like the store shelves have been a little bit empty, or there was we had a few months ago like an issue with gas where it was running out around the area and people were kind of freaking out. So
yeah, actually before COVID, our guides were saying to stock up, and we were like, okay, so we got a couple things, but now we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, have some food supplies, have some things that are inexpensive. If you need diapers, get some diapers. And clearly, like with the baby formula, I don't know if any of you have babies, and if you use formula, you've been through some rough times lately, evidently. I don't have a baby, so I didn't have to buy that, but it's been quite the issue. So yeah, think ahead, try to think of the things that you can't live without, and try to stock up if you can. And but that said, I don't think we're going to become like Venezuela. I don't think we're going to end up like for years and years and decades, going through this nonsense. So I do think there's an end to it.
Good.
Yeah, so hopefully that's true.
It is true. Okay.
It better be.
Darn it.
I'm not happy with this. All right. Who's next?
Let's see. Let's go with Casey Marie. Says, would love to see what you pick up for June for me.
Hello, Casey.
Hello, Casey. Okay. I just saw a field of flowers, and then I saw balloons. Like it just feels very pleasant.
I just saw I saw you flipping through a book, and it looked like a really old book. And it feels like reading for knowledge. maybe even spiritual wisdom and knowledge. And so it feels like to me, June is, I think ideally, at least what they're asking you to do is to really go in and learn some things. Higher wisdom. It feels to me, I'm hearing yes, yes, yes. It's something to do with moving forward or taking, because what I saw was you walking with flip flops on, but taking one step at a time. So I was like, what is that? I don't know. Flip flops. They showed me flip flops, but you were taking one step in front of the other. But I think it's about moving forward from something and getting and gaining the higher wisdom from whatever it is you're trying to move forward from, and being able to just move past, I think, just a couple of things that are going on.
Yeah, and I was getting to about that. It's like, so I saw that beautiful scene, but then there was like an overshadowing. And what I was getting is that it's fear. And so to really face what you're afraid of, because what I felt like it was almost like imaginary monsters. Sometimes we have to really look at it and it'll dispel or disperse or will heal something or will come to a better perspective. Because, if you look at it like, well, all we have is the now moment, usually what we're afraid of is something in the future, right? We're afraid of a pain or a suffering or like a mishap or a misdeed or whatever it is. And if we think about it, like in this moment right now, we're sitting here, we're hanging out, we're all having a good time. And if you put, for example, like financial fears into the mix, like if you really think about that these days, that's like numbers and decimals in like a digital world these days, because we don't like necessarily keep money under our mattress. So it's like this sort of imaginary concept of money and the ideas of the balance sheet and this and that and the other. And then we get like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, well, in this very moment, that's a sort of imaginary concept. And so if we can bring ourselves into all we ever have is the now, take a deep breath, we can all relax, we can enjoy those sunflowers, and then that's not to say like be irresponsible or disconnect from real life, but a lot of times we have these fears that sort of like loom over us and ruin our good time. And we have to really look at them, and I'm always talking about journaling. Sometimes it helps to just write down, well, like, what are you afraid of? Sometimes we even can look at, well, like, what's the worst case scenario? And well, then what? And what do I do? It's like, for example, with the prepping conversation, it's like, well, what's the worst case scenario? So then if that's scaring you, prepare for it or do the things, but then you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to like let it loom and bug you all the time. You can just take care of that, be in that moment. If you feel, remind yourself, oh, okay, that's not real. It's okay. I'm here. Fear, false evidence appearing real, So I think it's just, dig in. We all have fears. So it's, who's fearless? I don't know. Not me. I mean, sometimes I feel that way, and then I'm reminded that I'm human. So, sometimes we just have to like write it out. We have to look at it, and we have to problem solve for it, or we solve our perspective. Whatever it is to move beyond it. Face the reality and fix it. Sometimes it's what we have to do. I think that's it.
All right.
Okay.
Lynn Thompson, did my guides take me through my out of body experience, near death experience? All I remember is racing through the clouds after seeing myself during a seizure. Then I was back.
Wow.
That's very cool. Not that you had a seizure and had to go through that, but neat to see that experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they just want me to tell you what I know about that. So seizures are often, if you look into the work of Caroline Myss, I think her name is spelled Mace. It's spelled Myss. So pronounce that.
Yeah. I think she pronounces it Mace.
Throw an A in there. Why not? Anyway, yeah. So what she says about seizures is that they are often spiritual in nature. And I do know that sometimes when people have seizures, it is sometimes actually the guides working on people and opening up their intuition. So I don't know if you've had any sort of experience with clearer insight or intuition following the seizure, because I do feel like that might be what that was about. I don't think I'm getting anything else.
Yeah, and I do think it has to do with the ascension process, actually. What I'm hearing is that that's what it was about. So that might have been some sort of an upgrade or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's, it doesn't sound like you had like a really crazy, like life flashing before your eyes, like kind of an experience where you go through and you look at all the harms you've done to others, where you're reviewing your history. This felt like it was more like a have fun, go flying for a while and come back, and there you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there was any other real purpose except that. Like, it wasn't like,
Yeah, the guides will often do sort of like it's almost like brain surgery, I guess, on people to do upgrades, to create portals, for example, that they can access, or adjusting the brain. The brain can be a real pain in the A when it comes to getting guidance, right? It can get in our way. And I do think that sometimes things like seizures can positively change the way that the brain functions in terms of spiritual growth. And it can help us get lessons really quickly.
yeah, and I also feel like there was definitely some sort of upgrade with your abilities. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you are suddenly more able to give energy healing or something like that. It feels connected to healing in some way. Like, you just might want to intend, like, go up to somebody that you know and trust, not a stranger, and be like, okay, I'm going to send you healing now. My hands are open. My hand chakras are opening, and I'm sending you energy. And see if your hands start tingling or feeling extra warm or something, because it feels like I think you were gifted with something.
Cool. I just said, is it healing, connected with healing? They said in part, but there's more to it, and I think there's going to be an unfoldment with it. So I guess stay tuned to your own life to see what happens, and let us know on a future live.
Yeah, that's all I'm getting. I will say we probably won't remember what we said, but
I don't
remind
know.
us.
I'm gonna try to remember that because that's fascinating.
That is neat.
All right, Missy Alden says she hasn't reached out in a while. She lost her 2 twin grandsons. I'm sorry to hear that. Any messages for me? Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm going to just sort of, keep your chin up. I do feel like that your grandsons are with you and they don't want you to be sad. And I also hearing open your heart through the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we shut down and we contract the heart space, and opening it is important. It's really important to not shut down, and to stay, as high vibe and as loving as you can, considering what you've been through. And I'm just hearing that it's really important. It's important for your healing process too, because the worst thing we can do is just, we shut the heart chakra, we kind of pave over it, and that's bad. It's bad it doesn't help us heal or to really get over it. Then we kind of stuff the grief and it can't process properly. So I do feel like, honoring their memory, and trying to stay open and as loving as you can, and praying for help, if you feel like you're struggling in the grief process. Our guides can help us and ask for healing, and maybe get healing. Maybe see a healer that you trust.
So I will say, one of the things that are, this is always such a hard subject because when you talk about, grieving the death of a loved one, especially children, anyone who's passed who's younger than you, it's such a tragedy, and we connect so much with that loss and the significance of how young they were, right? And one of the things that our guides will often say when we're helping others, deal with grief is, none of this happens by accident. There's purpose and meaning behind all of it. And no matter what is happening in your life, there's purpose and meaning, and there's a reason for it. And it's that idea that actually turns a lot of people away from God, because they're like, if God does this, then how can I possibly believe in God, right? Please don't go there. Don't lose any kind of faith. Don't close your heart. That's usually what most people want to do. They want to shut down because it's such a tragedy. But what they're saying is, everything that we go through is an opportunity to catapult forward into a higher wisdom, and to have even more meaning and more healing within our lives. And whatever it is you're going through, this is for everybody. Whatever it is you're going through, and whoever it is you've lost, and we've been losing a lot of people. All-cause mortality is up 40%. We're losing a lot of people on Earth. Mm-hmm. And so many of us have had people who have passed. And so we need to figure out why. What is this trying to show us? What can we learn from this without shutting down, without hiding from who we are, without hiding from God, universe, creator, however it is you look at that? What can we learn? How can we grow? How can we use that pain to go deeper and open even more? How can we heal even more deeply? And it's going to seem like it doesn't make sense. How can you possibly make sense of something like that? But it does. And keep looking for the way for that to make sense, because that is where the work is. And don't be afraid of it. I think too, a lot of times when people suffer from grief, from losing, having significant loss like this would be, it's hard to move forward, because then you feel like you're not honoring them in some way. But the whole purpose is that you are honoring them by moving forward and by figuring out what it is you are meant to learn or get from the situation. So, and I feel like too, I feel like sometimes you do okay with it, and then there's those around you that are really still struggling more than you are. So just keep this in mind for them as well. We all have a process with it. And there's an awakening that happens through the death process. A lot of times the death process it's a rebirth of the people who are still living. It can be anyway, and it should be. And we just have to find our way to that. So I'm going to end that with that. Mm-hmm. Am I getting anything else?
Me too.
I hope that was helpful, Missy.
I hope so too. Okay, we have someone called Facebook user, once again, says, okay, hi ladies, I hope you're both well. Fairly new here, so I know it's not Faye. Okay. Enjoying your work. Anything coming through for me this evening?
Well, hello.
Okay. All right, I don't know what this means, but I saw money raining down, and then I saw a slide, and you were like, wee! All at the same time. So I was like, wow, that sounds fun.
It does sound fun. I felt like I was actually in like near the redwoods. Not that I've ever been there personally, but that was the image I just saw. These huge trees, and just like walking through the woods, and just like in awe of this beautiful tree that was on my left side. So I don't know. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know, I'm just hearing the word windfall. So I don't know if you just got a windfall or a windfall is coming.
And I just heard it's important to really focus on the magic of this existence. Okay, so I want to dive into that a little bit. The magic of this existence, right? We look at this like, well, we're schlepping along all the time, like
here we go again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, so but we refuse to acknowledge the magic on a minute to minute basis. Sometimes you might see, oh, 11:11, hey, or whatever, and you recognize the magic in that one moment, but there's magic happening every single minute. And if it does have to do with some sort of a windfall or the beauty of the existence that we're in, the more you're open and connecting to the magic of every single moment, the more you're going to see of the magic happening in every single moment. And I think they want you to really focus on that. Just, it's interesting. It's reminding me of, I studied a little bit of access consciousness, and one of their favorite phrases was, how does it get even better than this? So whether it's a good thing showing up or a bad thing showing up, or however it is you're judging it, it comes in, and how does it get even better than this? So basically you're asking the universe, well, give me something better. What's better? What's better than the situation that's showing up for me right now? And it's so fun to listen to some of the stories that people have had when they do that. They like these crazy magical things happen out of nowhere. And they're just like, wow, it really is a magical place to be. And the more you're aligning with the idea of it being magical, the more magic shows up in your life in a really beautiful, positive way.
Yeah. So I don't know. They just keep talking about manifestation. So I think, maybe the image of the money, it did feel like it was a lead in to a talk about manifesting.
Yeah. And, Neville Goddard is a really good teacher who seems to really resonate with a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of good teachers about manifestation. But for some reason, Neville Goddard, who was back from the 40s and 50s, if I remember right?
30s maybe?
30s?
Not sure.
No, it's been a while. It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's an older teacher.
He died in the 70s, so I don't know when he was really active with teaching, but
yeah. But he's got some really good information out there, and there's lots of YouTube channels that talk about some of his material, and there's some books. I listened to his audiobook. Was it The Complete Reader, I think is what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know, but there's a lot of good information out there, and it just kind of blows your mind, some of the stories he has about manifestation and what's possible. I think we all need to kind of get into that space of just, well, what is possible? Because where we're at is what we've created so far. So if we raise our vibration and have more positivity and whatever it is we're trying to work towards, what else can we possibly create? It's got to be better. Can't get worse. Well, I mean, I guess it could. If you lower your vibration and wish it could get worse.
Careful.
I know. Well, knock on wood. Where's the wood?
Yeah, right. Here. Okay.
All right, I knocked on the wood. We're safe. Next.
We can only hope. Okay. Jess Mack.
Jess.
Long-time listener Jess Mack says, good to see you both. Any particular message I need to hear this evening? Thanks. Okay, Jess. All right, Jess, I just heard everything's going to be okay. So I don't know if you're going through something. I don't know, who isn't, right? But I just feel like don't worry so much, like you're really getting yourself twisted about something.
Yeah, what I'm getting is like there was like this fly buzzing around. You're like, like you don't want to deal with it. And I think it does have something to do with a fear of some sort that you're just kind of like, oh, no, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, don't ignore it. Sure, we got to face our fears head on, Let me see if I can get some more about what it might be and how to deal with it.
Well, I want to say too that it feels like this comes back to our talk about manifestation, because facing your fears and facing things, like seeing what is, doesn't have to be a low vibe thing. Sometimes, we try to ignore it, like I said before, because we're trying to be in a better place. We're trying not to think of negative things, and looking at something or like a fear or something that is less than what we want it's very disheartening, and it can bring us down. Um, I think what your guides are trying to get across to you is honestly facing whatever you need to face is very empowering. And then if you can mix that with trusting in the magic of the universe and really building on that and not living in a state of fear around something as you're facing it, it really can shift some things. And that's not always easy. Sometimes it's a process, but it's an important process to overcome. And it's just going to sit there until it's dealt with.
Yeah. And on like the idea of patterns and habits of thinking, we all have them. We have this sort of baseline vibration. So like she's saying that she's definitely worrying too much for sure. And so, look at that tendency, because it colors our entire existence and how we perceive life. So if you think about the last Facebook user that we answered the question for, the idea of like seeing the magic of life, like that's a whole different massive perspective shift from somebody who worries too much. It's like a complete 360. And so sometimes we can't just make that leap like that. Sometimes we have to do baby steps. So if you think about, one method I've recommended a lot in the past is listening a lot to Abraham Hicks. If you go to YouTube, you put in Abraham Hicks, because if you listen to that kind of all day, every day, it can shift the way you see the world and the way you think about things. Makes you much more careful in your thinking so that you can raise your vibration. And what they'll say is that, you basically, sometimes you can't get to from A to Z with your vibration and your thought process. So sometimes if you're really worrying about something, you can't just like push it aside and be like, I'm great. Sometimes you have to actually look at the thing and change your perspective to make it like just a little bit better. And then you change it again to see if you can get better than that. And so then you ratchet it up, and hopefully soon you'll be on a rampage of appreciation and, seeing things, flying high. But you have to start out slow and intentional and really look at how you're seeing things and thinking so that you can correct it, right?
I'm just thinking I want a rampage of appreciation. I really want to do that. We're going to do that when we're done here.
Okay. We can do that. Sounds good to me. Let's see. I don't know. Sorry, we're
lots of comments, so we're trying to get to questions.
Yeah, we're getting through the comments. I think we did that one. Did we do it?
Yep.
Okay, Kathy Reagan. Hello, new here also, and very much enjoying this. Well, we're glad, Kathy Reagan. Welcome. I hope you're still on. Any pieces of wisdom for me? Thank you. Such kindness here. Oh, very sweet. Okay, Kathy Reagan.
I'll tell you my first sensation. I felt like I'm just walking along, and all of a sudden, boom, I get stopped. Like I'm looking around. So I don't know what this means yet, but I just want to tell you what I got in case you're getting anything. And then I have this image of like, I don't know, I guess I had stuff in my arms and I'm putting stuff down gently on the ground, like, okay, that was not what I expected. And I'm setting stuff down because I need to reground or regather myself. And then I'm seeing it's almost like someone's holding like a bottle and they're shaking it. I'm not sure how all this fits together. I think what it's saying is that like something happened and it stopped you in your tracks and maybe you were shaken by it. What are you getting?
I have no idea how this relates, but I was seeing casting a circle. So it was like in the forest, and then it was so in, I guess, like witchcraft, I don't know, or certain like Wiccan or certain pagan
Mm.
religions, they'll cast a circle and they'll call in certain elementals, like, you know, the spirits of the four winds and this, that, and the other
Is that what
thing.
they do? I don't
I've
know.
done this before with my daughter, where you cast a circle, and then you want to have like an element of like water and wind and fire, and so like, you know, you work with these different elementals, and so that was the image I saw. So I don't know if you're into that kind of thing, or what that might mean.
I just heard sacred circle.
Hmm. And I heard broken trust, so I don't know if that's what happened.
Yeah, my sense of it is, are you getting something else?
Well, I feel like the debate, you might be having a debate of whether to like repair a relationship and trust, and like, you know, maybe somebody betrayed you, and the idea of like, should I just shut them out, or should I continue and see, like, you know, explain what they did wrong and see if they can correct it.
Well, I feel like the focus is, if that is the question, I feel like the focus is that that's not even part of the answer right now. The focus is healing and reorganizing yourself in a way where you're not shaken, or anytime, if it is a betrayal, anytime we're betrayed, or something isn't going the way we thought, or maybe it's not a betrayal, maybe it's even just something got cut off suddenly, a relationship or something, or a job, or whatever it is, but it just felt like, wait, I didn't expect that. You need a minute to just kind of recenter and refocus and look at why this might be happening for you, instead of to you, and to make sure you're really clear on you know, how you can utilize this catalyst, whatever it is, for your benefit. And there's a couple things I think you need to shift in there, and it just feels like I feel jostled, like I'm not standing on both feet, and I'm trying to figure it out. Um, and someone just said, this was a guide who just said it's an important process. You really need to go through whatever this is, and if this hasn't happened yet, it might be that it's about to. But it really feels like whatever this is, it's how you're kind of like walking along, walking along, walking along, and all of a sudden you realize or maybe you're driving along and you're just driving, and you realize you missed your exit. Then you got to go in like a clover leaf and do like you go around a different way or something. It kind of feels like something like that. Like there's a little bit of a reorganization in the path, and but it's an important one. And it doesn't feel like it's anything you've done wrong. It just feels like it's just the next natural step of what's to come. So I don't know if you've been questioning that in any kind of way. I also feel like the jostling isn't quite complete, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's still just a couple things that are going to shake you up a little bit with whatever's coming. I just heard that's all for now. I think more is to come. Mm-hmm. Feel free to connect with your guides. I don't know if you do or not already, but I feel like they want you to make sure that you're connecting with them and just praying. Talk to God, whatever it is your spiritual understanding is, utilize that to really help you move forward in whatever this is. This was a really lovely female guide. I don't know. And when I saw a quick image of her, and she actually looks kind of like she might be like Asian or something. It almost felt like a bodhisattva kind of feel. Maybe like a Kuan Yin.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I think that is it. We're a little over time, but hey, we enjoyed seeing all y'all again.
Yeah, we love you guys. And sorry
do.
we haven't been around as much and we've been a little inconsistent, but we're doing the best we can.
Right? With giving what we got. So anyway, we will see you next month. And please go to divinelyguided.tv, sign up for our soul growth group.
Yeah.
And join us. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.